Hello, my name's Adrian Houston and I'm a tax consultant, having previously been a tax inspector. The purpose of my talk today is to tell you that the 30th of November is bringing an important deadline for a tax amnesty. And the purpose of that is for people who haven't paid enough tax on their offshore income to do that now and have an easier life. So who should be concerned with this? Really, anyone who at any time in the past 20 years hasn't paid enough tax on their offshore income. Some people might, for instance, have bought a property in offshore with money they hadn't declared, so that's a tax offence. And they may then maybe have let that property out and not declared the rental income, say, from this property in Spain or wherever. So that's another tax offence. And all of these can be swept up in the current tax amnesty. So who should be concerned? Anybody who hasn't paid enough tax at any time in the past 20 years in relation to an offshore asset or an offshore bank account. Now you might wonder, well, what if you've also got something wrong with your onshore, your UK tax affairs? If that's the case, you can still use this chance to clear everything up so long as there's also an offshore element. People sometimes ask me, what powers does the revenue have? Well, for instance, they've recently got the power to approach over 300 banks seeking information about those people who have got offshore accounts. If they get that information from those banks and they find that you have money offshore and you haven't registered and you haven't declared it, then I'm afraid you're in for a tax investigation. Those are very unpleasant things. They're expensive from a professional fee point of view. They're very stressful. They can last a year or more. And also the revenue has said that they will charge a very high penalty. The penalty will be at least 30% of whatever tax you owe. Under the present amnesty, which the revenue calls the new disclosure opportunity, you're guaranteed a penalty of 10%. And a streamlined system which should mean that you escape from the clutches of the investigation with the minimum of hassle. And in fact, based on when this happened before, almost certainly most cases will just be accepted and you'll just get a letter from the revenue saying the matter is closed. So what sort of powers does the revenue have? Well, these powers include search, they include information powers that they can use against the banks to get details of account holders, interest paid, amount in accounts, things like that. And also they include the power to go to, for example, your customers. So HMRC could decide to ask all of your customers what you've paid them in given years. If they then check that against your books, and they look at the books and it's not there, then they know that you've hidden the money, and perhaps you might have hidden that offshore. These powers are used by the revenue. They're very significant because this could be happening even before the tax investigation happens into your own case, and they can mean that the revenue can amass quite a large body of information about you. And then if you don't come clean, they can be very unpleasant and indeed prosecute people who withhold information from them. So what's the importance of this 30th of November deadline? This is the last day on which you can register that you may want to declare something under this new disclosure opportunity. Now, important there that I said register. You don't have to have all the information. That may take some weeks, even a couple of months, to pull together and get duplicate statements and for your tax advisor to help you with. But if you at least register, then you're allowed to take part in this. And to do that, you go to the HMRC website and you type into the search button NDO for New Disclosure Opportunity. You can also see the Revenue's official video at my YouTube site, and you can see those at youtube.com Houston TV. That's HUSTON TV. Or my website, Houston, HUSTON.TV. In all of these places you can get some further information about this opportunity. And if you know anybody who might be affected by this, do encourage them to have a look at my explanatory videos and consider whether they should take this chance. Because if they don't, and they get caught in the future, the revenue will be rather unpleasant to them. And it will cost them more, which is always something close to people's hearts. So what if somebody doesn't have all the bank statements they need? This is actually quite typical. Because in my experience, and we've handled a lot of these in the previous amnesty 2 years ago, most people haven't kept the bank statements. They've shredded them. They've maybe even asked for them not to be sent home because they're scared of them getting lost in the post. So if you don't have all the bank statements, it's perfectly acceptable for estimates to be used to fill in the gaps. Now if your advisor is a tax expert like myself, they will be able to use their expertise to make an informed judgment as to what should have been in those gaps and make the disclosure to the revenue. This is perfectly acceptable. The revenue have said it's acceptable, and they realise that perfect information is not going to be available going back 20 years. The disclosure is supposed to be completed by the end of January and all the tax paid by then. But if you want to submit it online, you can leave it as late as early March. However, the revenue will charge you extra interest, so I would recommend, if at all possible, get everything in by the end of January. If you'd like to talk to me about this issue, please give me a call on 028 90 80 60 80. And the number will also be at the end of this video. I hope this has been helpful to you. And if it's necessary for you to do something under it, please give me a call. Thank you.